Hi everyone, it's Aidans Railways. Let's have a look at the two MGR wagons from Hornby. They're decades apart in their tooling. Let's just see what the differences are between the old and the new. Now back towards the end of 2020, I bought two EFE Rail Class 58 model locomotives. And if you haven't seen that video, there's a link right up here. Now around about the same time I purchased this. This is one of Hornby's new MGR wagons. It's got the graffiti and weathering on it. And I bought this to go with the Class 58s that I'd just recently purchased. Now while I was in the model shop, which was Durham Trains of Stanley, I also noticed four of the older MGR wagons released by Hornby many years ago. All four were boxed and they were at a very reasonable price. Well, it was a no-brainer and I purchased them immediately. Now I purchased four older models for almost the same price as one newer model. So let's take a look and see what the differences are. So let's have a look at the older or railroad version of the MGR wagon. Firstly, in this case, I don't believe the coal load came with the wagon originally. So first of all, the buffers are plastic molded to the chassis. It has a large D-shaped coupling, which in turn is attached to a single bogie which holds one axle with two wheels. Now, this makes me think that in the earlier days of making the MGR wagons, Hornby had difficulty getting these to go round smaller radiuses and effectively gave the wagon two bogies. I'm just assuming that. I'm not saying that is the case, but it certainly gives that impression. There's very little detail underneath the actual wagon. From the side, it's a one-piece moulding for the actual chassis. Inside it's very bland, but then that's something you would weather or, in this case, attach a fake coal load. Now it does seem to have fairly reasonable wheels fitted to this. Now I can't guarantee that these are the original wheels to this model, but I do remember the model that I owned when I was younger actually had the more silver seal style wheels. So possibly these are the originals or possibly they have been replaced. This model does actually show the differences between one side of the wagon and the other, showing that it wasn't just made generic mirrored on both sides. There was some sort of thought process that went into showing what detail they could at the time that this was actually manufactured. Now this model does feel incredibly light even with the extra coal load. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to get some scales and we'll weigh it with and without the aftermarket coal load. And the old one without its fake coal load comes in at 44 grams. And the old one with its fake coal load comes in at 51 grams. Now here we have the more recent release of the MGR wagon by Hornby, this particular one being a 2020 release. Certainly as far as I was aware, it is a 2020 release and it does appear to still be in the catalogue in 2021. As I said before, I picked up this model when I was in the model shop purely because I thought I needed to get some rolling stock to go behind my 58s. And this one had a bit of graffiti on it. It was had the usual Hornby basic weathering. Still looks effective, but definitely needs to be dirtied down with some coal load, I think. Let's have a look at the differences between this and the older version. This also shows the overhead wire signs on the side of the wagon, or warning signs or warning flashes, which aren't present on the older model. Something else that isn't present on the older model is actually the use of colour in certain parts of the mouldings. These are picked out in red, obviously made to look quite dirty as well, but they are just plain black. Everything is plain black on the chassis of the older model. Something else that's apparent in this model is it actually shows further rivet detail running along these panels here. The interior is similar, not identical. In fact, I can prove that with the coal load. If I try to fit the coal load from the other wagon into this, you can actually see there's actually quite a large difference in the size, and it doesn't really want to fit in. Obviously, something you tend to expect these days, these buffers are sprung. However, realistically, they shouldn't be bashing into each other anyway with the use of the couplings. Obviously, additional aftermarket couplings could be used for close coupling, but it is a nice touch. It's something we expect these days and obviously wasn't present in the older model. Also, the buffers seem to be of a more realistic size as well. Moving to the opposite side, we've got more graffiti on it. Still with the weathering. It's like I said before, there is detail on the chassis that's been printed on, and all of these parts here appear to be separately fitted, including these brake shoes on the rear axles. Now let's move to underneath very quickly, and you can actually see there is a plethora of detail separately fitted as well, separate mouldings all fitted afterwards, that the other model, the earlier model, just simply didn't have. Something else which is immediately apparent. Now you've got these NEM pocket couplings here, but these two axles, the two wheel sets, are rigidly fitted to the chassis. They do not have the two almost bogies at either side of the old wagon. So there seems to be a complete difference, total difference in the moulding, but this probably stands up more now to larger radiuses. It might be the finer wheel sets that potentially help it go around corners. Maybe that was just a way of getting around tighter radiuses with the older moulding. Something that's immediately apparent when you pick up this newer release is the weight. It is considerably heavier when you pick it up. So I think we'll get that onto the scales and compare it to the older version. So the new one, if we just lie it straight down, comes in at 56 grams. But these older wagons still seem to hold a price tag. Why? Well, the truth is not many people can afford or are willing to part with the cash to buy, say, 18 of these wagons new. But the second-hand market knows this, and they seem to keep the older version's price quite high, but still underneath the price of the new version. Now, if you work your railway by Rule 1 and just want a varied selection of wagons behind a locomotive, this may not be an issue. However, if you want to run a fairly long, fairly prototypical load behind a model locomotive like the Class 58, well, at a recommended retail price of $22.99 per single wagon, or at $69.99 recommended retail per triple pack, and let's say you half the length of a typical real-life 36 wagon load to 18 wagons, you could be looking at just over £400 at recommended retail to run a long rake behind your loco. This brings me back to the differences. In real life, these wagons were very dirty, usually subject to graffiti, and quite often bashed up a bit. So if you're wanting to run a realistic train in model form, you are likely to weather up the wagons and therefore already lose a little bit of the fine detail that's actually on the newer model. Now, I purchased 4 older versions for almost the same price as one new version. So what do I think about this? Personally, I wouldn't pay more than half the price of a new model for one of the second-hand older tooled models. The older ones are okay, they can be modified, but at the end of the day, that's paying even more on top of that model. They're okay and they can be customized to made better, but this is a financial cost to be added on. Now, the new ones are very good, and to be honest, you could probably get a good deal from a model shop buying them in bulk, or just in general getting them at a lower price than the RRP. All you'd need to do then is weather them. However, if you're using the older traction tired, say Class 58 from Hornby, or railroad traction tired locomotives, I suspect you'd be better off with the older ones purely because of the weight difference of them being lighter. As we saw with the older versions, they're much lighter than the newer ones, and I suspect that traction tired models may struggle quite considerably with a long rake of the new Hornby MGR models. Well, where does this leave me? With the lack of new railroad versions in the 2021 catalogue, and with the prices still quite high for second-hand ones on, say, eBay and other internet sites, I've actually made the decision to buy a number of triple packs from the 2021 collection, but I intend to search for a supplier that sells them at lower than the RRP just to try and keep the cost down as much as I can. However, if I see any of the older ones at a good price, whether that be in a model shop, second-hand shop, model collectors fairs soon as they start to open up again, well, then I could be very, very tempted to purchase them as well. After all, once they're weathered and they're travelling along on your layout, from a visual perspective, whilst they're in motion, there isn't going to be a huge amount of difference between them. Realistically, it's just the price. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed, click on the round button. If you enjoyed this video and you want to watch some more, there's another video at the top of the screen and there's a playlist at the bottom. See you again soon.